Hi again. I wanted to talk about a really important question that a lot of newbie homeschool moms ask. And I feel like I'm the perfect person to answer this question because it's the same question that I asked when I started homeschooling. Can you homeschool if you are a naturally disorganized person? And I felt like I wasn't very organized and then I had kids and I was like, oh man, I'm really not organized. Like I really felt like I didn't have the skills I needed to just, when I had little people, like before I even homeschooled. And then when it came time to decide about their schooling, I explained in another video, my son had some learning disabilities and I decided to homeschool out of that season. And I learned a lot. And I've learned a lot over the last 5 years. And I can't answer that question for you. Yes, you can homeschool if you are disorganized. But there are some things I would like to share with you that have helped me from one fellow disorganized homeschool mom to another. Things that have helped me thrive as a homeschool mom. Okay, I'm still trying to figure this out. Every year, like I said, there's bumps that I have to work through. But every year I get a little bit better too. So I want to share what I've learned that has gotten me to this place. So first of all, this is the first lesson I learned. Do not compensate for your disorganization with fancy, expensive curriculum. Okay, I know how it feels when things might not make sense in your head and you're all over the place and ADD and you're like, I'll just buy a $500 curriculum that will tell me everything my child needs to know and provide everything, and I'll just put it out in front of them, right? Okay, that's what I did the year my son did kindergarten, and it was not a good experience for either of us. First of all, there was tons of material, and the schedule every day had like 10 different things, and I would do like the first 2, and I was like, this is boring, I don't want to do this anymore. And it had all these cards and crafts, and like, don't forget to gather these materials every day, and I would forget, and then I would feel like a terrible homeschool mom, and I'd feel like a failure, and I would feel this shame, and I hated homeschooling. I felt like such a failure. And I'm looking at the curriculum and like, I did so much research. I picked like the #1 curriculum for kindergarten. You know, I tried my best and I failed. But the truth is I didn't try my best. I didn't pick a curriculum that was going to work for me and work for my strengths. I picked something that I thought was going to make up for my weaknesses. But at the same, that didn't work for me. So don't do that. Make sure you pick a curriculum that you're going to be able to run with and to succeed at. For me, you know, I've shared in other videos, I love 5 in a row. I mean, that takes some planning ahead, but I would just print things off from homeschoolshare.com. Very important if you're a homeschool mom to know that. It's just great, tons of free material. So homeschoolshare.com, I'd print off the lap book stuff, and then we just had this big tote with just tons of craft supplies, and I would read a book and we would talk about it, and that's what we did. So that was really easy for me. Hooked on phonics. I didn't use the disc. We just read through the book. You know, I would sit with a child for 10 minutes, read the book. Like that was simple. I only had like 2 things to keep up with, and that's what I needed in that season of my life. And now we do Fun School, which has just been a lifesaver for me. I absolutely love it. It's very self-directed for the kid, and each of my kids has 3 workbooks, you know, so I put them in like a little the little organizer that holds it, you know, and then they have their baskets, and it just keeps everything together. And that brings me to my next point. This is something that works for me. I have to make sure that I can see everything that I need. And what happened is we got a homeschool cabinet, and I started storing things away, and then when it would come time to homeschool, I would have no idea where I put any of my stuff. Like I knew it was in the recesses, like the deep dark recesses of the homeschool cabinet, but I didn't know where. So over time, this is like 2 years for me to figure this out, because then I got a dresser. That's what I got, a dresser, and I started putting homeschool stuff in there, and I just wanted things to be close, but I still couldn't see them. And then when I would go to homeschool with the kiddos, I was like, where's that? Like, I need the hole punch. Like, I know it's somewhere, but I don't know where I put it. And so I don't know if you can see behind me, but I finally invested in like these bookcases. This is from a yard sale, okay? A yard sale. And it has their baskets, and there's another one over here that has all of our books. And so that was just man, that like changed how I homeschooled. Like having 2 shelves in my kitchen where I homeschool that has everything that I need for an entire week of homeschooling. So things where I can see them, very important. Okay, the things that I need. Okay, the next thing is to have basic items that you need for homeschool in various locations. Okay, so this is the other thing that would happen to me is I would go to homeschool. I'm so proud of myself. We're all at the table and we can't find pencils. And I'm just so upset because I have all the pencil boxes in the world and they're all empty. You know, we can't find the pencil sharpener. And so this has been another thing that's kind of developed over the years. This thing that works for me. Okay, I have to have like 10 pencil boxes in my house. 10. Like when school supplies go on sale, I buy all the pencil boxes and I buy all the pencils and I fill them up with pencils and crayons and markers, and they're everywhere. And I need to have like 7 pencil sharpeners. I have to have multiple things because they get lost. I have 5 children, I'm teaching them to steward all of our materials, but inevitably they get carried off. We take them in the car and then, we don't have what we need. And so for me, it works. We have pencils in here where we homeschool. We have pencils in the homeschool cabinet. We have pencils in my room. We have pencils that stay in our kitchen island. Like, I just need to have pencils everywhere because I never want to sit down at the table and be like, oh man, where'd the pencils go? That's like the worst feeling ever. Okay, the other thing that we have that has helped is we have like this huge tote that I would pick it up, but it's heavy and it's down there. But my mom bought it, and it's like that big and like that long, and it has a tray on it, and the tray has little compartments, and it's just full of craft supplies. And then underneath it is just paper and lots of construction paper, lots of white computer paper. It's got our stapler, and it's got our hole punch, and it just has different craft supplies that were lots of glue, craft supplies. So it has the things that we need. See how my brain works? I'm all over the place. It's very hard for me to do things in order. And I thought, how on earth am I going to teach children to function in the world when I can't even function, But we learn together, and I find ways to cope. Okay, so those are a couple. Okay, here's the last thing I was going to say about just acquiring new skills is you got to own who you are. And for a long time, because I didn't like the way I homeschooled, it made homeschool like very unenjoyable because I felt like I was disorganized and I just never had a plan together, and I felt like I was failing my kids, and I didn't want to, and I knew I was supposed to homeschool. I'm like, I know God's called me to homeschool, so I'm going to fight through this, and I'm going to find a way to make it work for me. So my kids are also thriving, that's the goal. And so I took this homeschool quiz, and it was like, what kind of homeschool mom are you? And it was like, you are the fun mom. And I was so mad because I thought, I don't want to be the fun mom. I want to be, has all of her, crap together mom. That's what I want to be. That's how I want to school kids. But that's not the, the popsicle stick I drew. That's not who I am. I'm the fun mom. And so I tried to just run with that. We like to tell jokes before we start our day, and we like to have, I've said another video, on Friday afternoons we have popsicles, or we have root beer floats, or I just bought honey sticks for this Friday. Like, I try to have a treat that we can do after Friday when we've done a week of school, just to reward them. I want to think of ways to spice up our lives when we're doing school. I don't want it to be boring. I didn't like being bored in school. And so owning who you are makes a big difference. I know I said that was the last thing, but I had one little note up here that, a lot of this stuff is kind of figuring out what works for me, okay? And there also is some growing that you have to do. It's not like, you're going to figure out what works for you and then you don't have to grow anymore. Like, that's not true. You still are going to have to grow as a human. And one thing that will make you grow is homeschooling your children. And when I first started homeschooling and I was struggling, I can remember a homeschool mom of 8 children telling me, one of the secrets was to become happy in the home. And I was so mad when she said that, like inwardly. I didn't tell her that, but I thought I could never be happy at home because I love being busy. I love going places. I love filling up my schedule. Like, I love when I look at the calendar and it's full of things to do. Like, that's who I was when I was younger and I had less kids. And it's so funny to me now because I like being home. I mean, I wasn't that person then, but now I like being home with my children. And when I stay home in the mornings, which is when we homeschool, I get more done. And so I don't want to put that on anybody because, like I said, when it was first said to me, I wasn't ready to receive it. But it was something that I acquired, that I grew into, and I found that it changed the way I homeschooled. It made things so much easier when I wasn't running around or when I didn't have things on the calendar, like places I had to be. The only place I have to be is home. That's what I'm trying to say, is every day my plan is to stay home and homeschool my children. And especially as we're getting into the groove, and then I like to we have a co-op that goes to the park, and I do like things like that. But I have to be so secure in what I'm doing with my kids before I go anywhere. That's not to say that I don't go grocery shopping or anything. Like, obviously I have to do those things. But my priority is to be at home with my kids and schooling them. And I just wanted to add that in there because I was thinking about things that have helped me, and that has really helped me. It's like when I'm home, I can actually do things at the house. It's like, wow, that makes so much sense. But I didn't put that together before when I wasn't getting the laundry done and I wasn't like doing basic chores. And I was like, oh, I'm not home. So staying home, that's one way to get things done. Who knew? So I just wanted to share that. I hope that helps somebody. I just jotted a list of things that have helped me over the years. And now I love homeschooling, and my kids are, they love homeschooling, and I'm just so grateful that I get to do it. So if you have any questions, post them below and I'll get back to you. And happy homeschooling. Thanks for watching.